taking too much time. So the question is, create and solve a rational expression that has an answer of 2 1/4 and meets all of the following criteria. It must have at least 3 different rational numbers that are in their lowest terms, must include the following operations: subtraction, exponent, division. Note, none of the rational numbers can have a denominator of 1. Noted. So the first thing first, what is a rational expression? So a rational expression is nothing more than a fraction in which the numerator and the denominator are polymers. But what the heck is a polymer? A polymer are algebraic expressions that consist of variables and coefficients. So variables and coefficient. So for example, 4y minus 2x divided by x squared minus 1. So it says variables and coefficient. Variables are the y's and x, and the coefficient is always the number in front of the variable. So if you have 4x squared, the coefficient is 4 and the variable would be x. So that's it. So a rational expression example would be 6 divided by x minus 2. Another example can be x squared minus 2b minus 1. So they are variable examples of what it is. So now that you have that in mind, we're going to create the expression based on what the question asks. So what I have is 3 over 4x minus x over 2, open bracket, square, divided by 2/3 x equals 9 over 4, which is the same thing as 2 1/4. What I understand from the question is that as long as, remember the criteria, they're saying that it must have like 3 rational, let me go back to it. Yeah, it says it must have 3 different rational numbers. So these are the 3 different rational numbers: the 3 over 4, the 3 over 4x, the x over 2, and the 2/3 x. So you could use any fraction you want and put a variable in front of it, because remember that we said that a rational expression is just simply a fraction which is a polymer, and the polymers, as we said before, is just including like x and y into the fraction. And the next component of the question is that it must have an exponent. So my exponent in this case is square. And it says it must have subtraction. Here's the subtraction. It says it must have division, and here's the division sign. And it should equal to 2 1/4. 2 1/4 is a mixed number. Written as an improper fraction is 9 over 4. And the question also says create and solve. So therefore you're supposed to solve it. So you can't solve something unless there is like an unknown in it, and our unknown in this case is x. I hope you understand that so far. So we're going to work the numerator first, and we're going to work what is in the bracket. There's something called bless my dear Aunt Sally. This is just saying bracket multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So you have to work what is in the bracket first, and this is what is in the bracket. If you notice, the fraction, they don't have the same denominator, so you have to find a common denominator. And the common denominator for 4 and 2 is 4. Well, the lowest common multiple, the LCM. So using 4 as the lowest common multiple, the LCM, 4 into 4 goes 1 times. So 3x times 1, that would equal back to 3x. 2 into 4 goes 2 times. So 2 times x will give you 2x over 4. Subtract 3x minus 2x, you equal to 1, same thing as x. That's the next thing I need to state. I don't have to write 1 in front of the x. It's already known that once you have x over a fraction, over a denominator, it is known that it is 1. Even if it's not over a fraction, even if you just have x minus 1, x is known as 1. So when we work out that from the fraction, we get x over 4 and whole bracket squared. So we're going to multiply everything by the power of 2. So x times to the power of 2 is x squared, and squaring 4 would equals to 16. Sorry about that. So the answer is x squared over 16 for just the top section. Now we're going to deal with the bottom section. So this big line is division. So if we're going to write it over, it would be x squared over 16 divided by 2x over 3. When there's a division sign, you turn the fraction upside down. So it would be x squared over 16 times 3 over 2x. Remember before it was 2x over 3, but whenever you have a division sign, you flip the fraction. So the denominator become the numerator and the numerator become the denominator. So we get x squared over 16 times 3 over 2x. And all of that will be equal to 9 over 4. When we work it out, we get 3x squared divided by 32x equals 9 over 4. Then we have 3x squared times 4. So we're trying to get rid of the 4 over here. So we're solving the fraction now. So in order to remove the 4, because the 4 is divide over here, you have to multiply by 4 on both sides. Even though you don't necessarily see me showing it, that's what is happening. So if you multiply by 4 over this side and multiply by 4 over this side, then it will cancel here, and that's how you get 9. And then you will end up with 3x squared times 4 over 32x. When we multiply, we get 12x squared over 32x equal 9. This fraction can be simplified further. 2 into 12 goes 6 times. 2 into 32 goes 16 times. 2 into 6 goes 3 times. And 2 into 16 goes 8 times. The x's can be cancelled as well. X into x goes 1, and x into x to the second power does give you x, and that would equal to 9. So the simplified version now is 3 over 8x equals 9. Again, we're going to get rid of the 8. In order to do that, because this is division, you have to multiply. So multiply both sides by 8, and you'll get 3x equals 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72. So it would be 3x equals 72. Remember, we're still solving for x. 3 is in front of x, so we still haven't solved it as yet. So in order to have x by itself, remember, this is multiply 3 times x. So in order to remove the 3, we would have to divide both sides by 3. So when we divide both sides by 3, we get x equals 72 divided by 3, which is 24. And that is us solving the equation. So x equals 24. So if I go back to the expression that I've written, as I've said before, you could have written any expression. Instead of using a quarter, 3/4, 3 over 4, you could have put 1 over 4x. Instead of using a half, you could have here 1/3, whatever fraction it is that you wanted to include, as long as it include the criteria which was stated in the question. It says that these rational numbers, they would have to be in their lowest term. Lowest term just simply means that it does not need to be break down any further. So you notice how I was breaking down this fraction over here. Then you couldn't use a fraction of, like, say 12 over 32 in the initial part because it wasn't in its lowest terms. But if you realize these fractions are in its lowest terms, 3 over 4, you can't break that further any down. A half, you can't break a half any further than a half. It's a half. So as long as it had the criteria that were stated from the question, then you're good. So this is just my example, but you could replace what I have written here with your own example, as long as I said before, they have the criteria stated here. Don't be confused because it says that the rational expression should have an answer of 2 1/4. It doesn't mean the answer is 2 1/4. It just simply means that the equation is equated to 9/4, which is the same as 2 1/4. So that's where I have an issue with this question, because it wasn't written properly as far as I'm concerned. It's open for many interpretation, but this is how I've interpreted. And if you also notice, it says note none of the rational numbers can have a denominator of 1. So if you look at the expression that we have written, 3/4, the denominator is not 1, it's 4. X/2, the denominator is 2, it's not 1. And 2/3, the denominator is not 1, it's 3. So again, it has all the criteria that were stated in that question. Hope I have explained as best as you're able to understand it.